Joseph, whose father and mother we know. John 6:42. Stop murmuring among yourselves, Jesus responds. No man can come to me unless the Father, who sent me, draws him, and I will resurrect him on the last day. It is written in the prophets. They will all be taught by Jehovah. Everyone who has listened to the Father and has learned comes to me. Not that any man has seen the Father, except the one who is from God. This one has seen the Father. Most truly I say to you, whoever believes has everlasting life. John 6:43-47. Isaiah 54:13. When earlier he spoke with Nicodemus, Jesus mentioned everlasting life and linked that with faith in the Son of Man, stating, everyone exercising faith in God's only begotten Son might not be destroyed but have everlasting life. John 3:15-16. But now he is speaking as the bread of life. John 6:25-48, 132, into a much larger audience, telling them that he is a role in gaining everlasting life, which neither the manna nor the bread commonly available in Galilee can provide. So how can everlasting life be gained? Jesus repeats his words. I am the bread of life. John 6:48. This discussion regarding the bread from heaven continues, reaching a climax while Jesus teaches in a synagogue in Capernaum. Jesus is the bread from heaven. Considering recent events, why is the request for Jesus to produce a sign inappropriate? How do the Jews react to Jesus saying that he is the true bread from heaven? Why is the bread that Jesus speaks of superior to manna or literal bread? 54:133. In a synagogue in Capernaum, Jesus is teaching about his being the true bread from heaven. His comments evidently add to what he said to the people who returned from the eastern side of the Sea of Galilee, those who ate from the loaves and fish provided there. Jesus continues his discussion, saying, your forefathers ate the manna in the wilderness and yet they died. In contrast, he explains, I am the living bread that came down from heaven. If anyone eats of this bread he will live forever. And for a fact, the bread that I will give is my flesh in behalf of the life of the world. John 6:48-51. In the spring of 30 CE Jesus told Nicodemus that God loved the world so much that he provided his Son as a Savior. Jesus now stresses the need to eat of his flesh by exercising faith in the sacrifice he will make. That is the way to receive everlasting life. However, the people take exception to Jesus' words. How can this man give us his flesh to eat? They ask. John 6:52. Jesus wants them to understand that he means this figuratively, not literally. What he adds shows this to be his meaning. Unless you eat the flesh of the Son of Man and drink his blood, you have no life in yourselves. Whoever feeds on my flesh and drinks my blood has everlasting life. For my flesh is true food and my blood is true drink. Whoever feeds on my flesh and drinks my blood remains in union with me. John 6:53-56. Imagine how offensive that may sound to Jewish listeners. They might think that Jesus is suggesting cannibalism or a violation of God's law against consuming blood. Genesis 9:4. Leviticus 17:10-11. But Jesus is not referring to eating flesh or drinking blood literally. He is showing that all who want everlasting life must exercise faith in the sacrifice that he is to make when he offers up his perfect human body and pours out his lifeblood. Yet, even many of his disciples do not understand this teaching. Some react. This speech is shocking. Who can listen to it? John 6:60. Because Jesus realizes that some of his disciples are murmuring, he asks, does this stumble you? What, therefore, if you should see the Son of Man ascending to where he was before? The sayings that I have spoken to you are spirit and are life. But there are some of you who do not believe. With that, many disciples leave and no longer follow him. John 6:61-64. So Jesus addresses his 12 apostles with the question, you do not want to go also, do you? Peter responds, Lord,